Let's have some Facebook Q&A. A good-hearted person on Facebook wrote to me through Messenger and explained that they are a student of Sanskrit. And they were wondering if there were any sadhanas or practice texts for Chenrezig, also known as Avalokiteshvara, that were written in Sanskrit. Now, there is a challenge with that, and the challenge is twofold. Here's the first challenge. The history of Buddhism in India was disrupted. I am not trying to be hateful at all. From a completely non-judgmental point of view, there was a time, and I may mispronounce this, when there was a Mongol invasion into India. And during that time, I don't know the mechanics of it, but there was a wholesale slaughter of Buddhists. And I read in various sources that even various Buddhist sites were quote unquote desecrated, if that's such a thing. I don't think Buddha was big on rituals or sacred sites. He was really big on meditation and philosophy. But getting back to it, there was a persecution of Buddhists in India many, many, many centuries ago that temporarily intersected with the time of the Mongol invasion. I'm not sure if there is a causal relationship between that correlation. That's not really part of my job description. But from that point, Buddhism only survived in the non-Indian countries to which it had migrated, i.e., Japan, Korea, China, Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, Myanmar, formerly known as Burma, and of course Nepal, Bhutan, and Tibet, which a few decades ago was annexed by another country. These are the countries in which Buddhism survived. And then there was a second wave of migration from those countries to the West. So the Buddhist texts, be they analytical, commentary texts, original discourses, or practice texts, have survived in largely non-Sanskrit languages. Now, there are always an exception that proves the rule. There are a few Sanskrit practice texts possibly out there. Some scholars have worked very hard to translate the Chinese and Japanese and various other and Tibetan texts back into Sanskrit. That is profoundly problematic. So if one does not wish to practice in their native tongue, one can find Chenrezig, also known as Avalokiteshvara sadhanas, in Tibetan. Now let's come to my second and most annoying point. Buddha cautioned folks that I'm going to extend back. Two monks approached Buddha, and they wanted permission to translate his discourses into Sanskrit, which was an elitist language used primarily for the priests at that time. Buddha said, propagate it in people's native tongues. Now, I cannot cite that. I came across that scripture several times in the past. I can't, and just because it's written down doesn't make it true. That's just a story. But it's an important principle that the language that's best is the language that you use and that you're comfortable with. and that hopefully the translator and teacher uses and are comfortable with as well. Yes, every language sounds different. Some are more precise, some are less precise. Some have certain benefits, others have other benefits. It can be a mistake to mystify languages. Return to the energy thing. Just because something has a certain amperage of real or imagined subtle EM phenomena doesn't necessarily make it better or worse. The only test of any practice are the results we generate within a week of daily or twice daily practice. If you're performing a practice and you're not generating the results that you desire, the problem is most likely not the language in which you are practicing it, but either A, your application of the practice, your comprehension of the practice, or B, the practice itself. In both the Sutta of the Kalimas Dilemma as well as the Paninibbana Sutta, where the idea is given forth that it's not the popularity, the beauty, the wealth, the power of a teacher that counts, the efficacy of the teachings when we apply them. We, our bodies and our brains, are the laboratories in which we test the efficacy of the teachings through twice daily practice. My name is Lama Jigme Gyatso, and this is the Buddha Joy Meditation School.